just good morning, everyone. We finally have Bill with us. Apologies for the delay. Technical difficulties. This is episode 117. Yes. Anyway, we'll be going shortly. Bill is here once more to talk about financial tips. And
wouldn't that be 11T7?
Yes, if you're.
Yes, it would.
Tolkien.
Yes.
If you're a hobbit.
And a hobbit, yes. In the Shire. Anyway, So, Bill, you seem a little low.
Don't hear him
and
at
now
all
you seem
now.
none at all. Yeah.
Good now?
Yeah,
There
that's
we go.
better.
Yes. All right, so let's see.
Oh, let me get up my mute button.
So, no pounding on the desk, no kicking underneath the table. You were sorting all that out, so it should be fine.
No typing with your microphone unmuted.
Yes.
Should be better.
No
And you
problem.
Tweet us out to you.
I will. I'll do that this second.
Hello, chat room.
That sounds familiar from somewhere. We're not going to talk about that. All right.
Those conversations have ended.
Everyone have their Audacity going.
We will have. But let's just make sure Bill is right. So,
Yes.
Bill.
I do have mine going,
check.
yes.
All right. Yep. Okay, I'm good. Bill, you do have Audacity running at this point. It is recording the correct device.
Yes.
All right. The other guy, Red, right?
Red Ruh?
You are recording, yes?
Yes, I am.
All right, chill. I reckon we can roll.
All right. All right, I'll get going here in 5 seconds. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. The chances of survival are 775 to 1. This is episode 117, being recorded on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guests today are Bill, our credit expert, and Red. So, Bill, what you been up to the last couple of weeks?
Well, lot. Actually, had a 3-day weekend this week. I hope to play a lot more, but it was actually nice out. I got all the way up to about 45 degrees on Monday. So I went down, cut a couple trees down so I'd have some firewood because the polar vortex has invaded again.
Is it? Oh, boy.
It's -4 out right now, wind chill of -15. So I went from 45 2 days ago to -4 today.
Wow. Brutal.
But I did, I played some Galactic Starfighter, of course, got my dailies every day. I'm up to about 24 of those saved up in 4 weeklies.
Mm-hmm.
But I got re-engaged because I talked to Tio that I've been playing what felt like less and less because Starfighter kind of lends itself that I log in, I play a game, maybe 2 if I lose one, and I log back out and I kind of am done. So I re-engaged. I did the Voss Weekly twice. That's the only thing I haven't maxed reputation on yet is the Voss. So that's my last goal. I'm only a week away from maxing it out, so it'll be this week. Maybe not with other things going on, which I'm sure we'll talk about with the event. Played around with that a little bit last night. The only thing that initially I have to say on it is that they've managed to keep the unbalance as far as crafting goes going. There's bioanalysis mats aplenty everywhere, but nothing for any of the other gathering skills anywhere for in the tunnels.
Right.
Makes it a little tough from that standpoint, from credit making standpoint, because you're only getting one limited thing, and then it's flooding the market with those two.
Yep.
So it hurts. I got my Sentinel maxed out. He's all 72s and 78s now, which scarily is now better than my tank is, which is just the luck of the rolls, I guess, that that I've now have my better gear on my Sentinel than I do on my tank and my Vanguard.
Wow.
And then I worked on my Bounty Hunter. That is my main cyber tech. So I went back to my own advice, and he was a lower level. He was something about a 35, so I only could send out 3 companions at a time.
Right.
So I've been pushing to get him up to 48 so I can use all 5. Finished Hoth, and I have to say, I know Tio says, I tell him this all the time, I'm not a big fan of as much story in my game, which is hilarious when we talk about this game. But I really did enjoy the Bounty Hunter story on Hoth. I think Hoth is the most underloved planet in the entire game. I really enjoy Hoth. I love picking up Blizz and his story. And then I went to Belsavis, and I hate Belsavis.
Okay.
So I powered through that. I
Do you know why you don't like it, or?
Oh, it just seems so much wasted space. It seems to take forever to get anywhere from one place to the other.
Right.
And it's so hard with the Ricotta technology to move between.
Yeah, the second
zones
taxi service is not fun.
Thank goodness they fixed it and have them all linked now, though.
That was a really good change.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel cohesive at all. I had the same problem with Corellia. It just feels like islands, and even though Belsavis is one big planet, not broken up like the smaller planets or Corellia, it still doesn't feel as cohesive.
Okay.
So I didn't do any story missions on that, or any planet missions. I did my story missions, got off of that, and on the boss. So I've got him up to 35 to 44 over the past 2 weeks, and hopefully we get him 48 by the end of next week. Is that enough? Because that's about all I did.
That's plenty. Excellent. All right, Red, how about your week?
So, as I reported previously, and I did put the picture in here finally, I meant to have it in the show before, but this is the photo of me before I started my class quest. But I have been working on my class story. Now that I was definitely high enough level with my Galactic Starfighter to get into cache, to pick up the quest, to get yourself inoculated so you can get to the planet, I tore through it all. In fact, it was really easy at the level that I was. It was just... Well, I mean, when you're starting on Ord Mantell and you're level 33, it's going to go quick.
Yeah.
But ran through it, and then as soon as I finished Alderaan, my buddies logged in, and so they helped tear me through the rest to get all the way through Hoth. So I now have all of my companions unlocked in order to use them as crew members for my Galactic Starfighter ships. Was really happy with that, but what really got me happy actually is I've been kind of working from beginning to end, so from the origin planets to the capital planet and then each planet in the storyline. I've been working towards completing 100% on the achievements. So when I started doing my class story for the planets I haven't gotten to yet, suddenly I started having achievements popping up, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's one. Ooh, there's another. And my friends are like, yeah, we're getting them too. Like, big deal. I'm like, yeah, but this is achievements. So it was a lot of fun to see those achievements popping up. The other really big thing I did was, so I pulled out our podcast from 2 weeks ago with Bill and fast forwarded to when he joined, did his segment.
Right.
And I listened, and I'm logged into my character, and he says scavenging and slicing, and then blah, 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 and a good crafting one would be cybertech. Okay, got those 3. And then I actually went back and leveled those up real quick, and then caught up and started working on the planets that I hadn't gotten 100% achievements on, and ran around and did the profession and scanning and everything while I was working on those achievements as well. And I have definitely gotten and for the crafting in particular, I really wanted to get my cybertech up at least high enough to craft my own gear, because with the incoming material and the fact that I might be using my character for some ground content anyway, I wanted her to at least be pimped out with the Cybertech gear. But also, I took all of my alts and sent all of their stockpile of materials that I've never sold before, so that she's now already 450 Cybertech.
Wow.
That was easy. My scavenging and slicing are still only at about 250, but I can at least start crafting with materials that I've got and reverse engineering and getting the components and the droid parts and all that. Which because that droid thing was a big eye opener for me. I had always thought that armor mech, that had the minimum amount of materials, and that's the best way. So when he said Cybertech, I was like, hell yeah. So basically, I reviewed that episode, and now I'm trying to employ all of those rules, and I'm selling every single green I pick up, and everything. And it's true, man. It's like every time I log in now, it's just this tiny little steady stream of credits. That's like, I'm getting 25,000 credits every time I log in just from my low-level materials that I happen to get doing my class quest, all selling on the GTN. So really, really enjoyed that. But anyway, I had a great match in Galactic Starfighter this week, which I'd done it once before, but I wasn't sure that I believed it. So it happened again. I broke 19,000 requisition in a single match.
1900?
Yeah, 1900. 1900.
That's a ton.
Yeah, it's a ton. And I had to sit, at first I was like, so how come I can't get to 2,000? I'm having so much trouble getting to 2,000. And then I sat down and did the math, and I realized with our 50% subscriber bonus, you get 750 for your pool. If you take 750 and multiply that times 2, that's 1,500. And if you're not rotating into other ships at exactly the right time in order to hit their pools, then the best you can do, to get to the 2,000 mark would be that you'd have to get an additional 500 requisition for that. So it's actually really hard to break 2,000, but that's kind of become my personal goal, and when I get that, I will totally screenshot it.
Awesome.
I got over 30K ship requisition stored up in my cargo hold now from all my dailies and weeklies.
Right. Ready for once you get the bomber and all that.
Exactly, and from my spreadsheet, I don't think I mentioned it before, but it takes 33,500 to go from 0 to full mastery on those big major components, like your primary and secondary weapons.
Okay.
So I will easily be there, so come day 1, I can pick one component and guarantee full mastery. And I did want to say, on Tuesday, we had the event show up. Me and my buddies went out, and we had a blast slaughtering Imperials. I mean, just destroying Imperials, because they were dying everywhere, and by the end of the night, we didn't even spend the whole night there. I think we were only there for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and we killed 30 Imperials, just because we kept running into them and slaughtering them. So that was a lot of fun. And that's my week.
Alrighty. Tio, how about your week?
Well, let's start with our rating. We were doing hard mode Scum and Villainy. So on day 1, we did the first 3 in there. In the 1.5 hours, we pushed through to try and get the 4th. We had a quick attempt, but that didn't go so well. So on day 2, we went back in. We did the 4th and 5th again for the second time, and we took down the penultimate, the 6th boss in Scum and Villainy hard mode. That was the first time for that. That's the 4 guys.
The 4
Cartel Warlords, I believe they're called.
Yeah,
That was a fun fight.
One-shot that one?
We did indeed.
Yeah.
And then we had a few goes on the 7th and last Styrek, that fight, and we basically mastered the mechanics, but we were hitting the enrage. So ultimately it comes down to our DPS simply not quite being high enough. So Turg and me at least have been heavily focused on upgrading our gear. I know I'd been falling a little bit behind, but because I had almost maxed out my ultimates comms, I hadn't spent them. I've been sort of clinging to the set bonus, the 4-piece, so I've thrown that away. Yeah, I'm now in all 72s and 78s, and I got a 72 main hand hilt crafted. etc. So yeah, really, my guy's about as geared as he can be at this point.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that depending on if we go back in this time, we should, and with Turg just being amazing anyway, and he's made a few improvements as well,
Excellent.
DPS should be a lot higher. We should get hopefully further, or we were actually thinking hard mode Dread Fortress, though we're also thinking that we'll do the event boss, the Eyeless, who is located in the Rakul tunnels in
Yeah.
the
More
event.
about that
So,
coming. Mm-hmm.
indeed. So other than that, it was the usual Galactic Starfighter. There's lots of new players, and so we are getting into matches where there's lots of people with only 2 ships. When you first bring up the screen, that is your initial indication that if the other side is a whole bunch of guys with just 2 or 3 ships, then you know that they haven't been playing very long. So yeah, that can get really like slaughter. So far, we haven't had. Other than that, there's been some tight matches, but we haven't lost any since last week. It's all been pretty solid. And it's actually kind of cool when you get new players on your side as well, so you can sort of help them out by shooting other guys off their tail, that kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. And otherwise, I've done a couple of rounds of the Rakul dailies so far, which is all very cool, and we will go into detail about that in the news. That's about it for my week. Over to you, Chill.
All right. First, a shout out to the chat room. Ben_B55 is here. Force Chuckle. OSW Guild. Volsican. Grimrock. Maverick103D. And Nomar are all here. So, hi, everyone. Let's see. And aside from the operations and doing Galactic Starfighter. And I've kind of decided on maining the Scout. I will also use other ships on occasion, but I seem to have settled down into the Scout as sort of my main ship. And it works pretty well because we have a lot of folks that we run with who do gunships, so we're already good on that. And then of course you do the fighter all the time, so there's definitely room for a Scout, and maybe a bomber when we get that. Maybe I'll fall in love with that too. We will see. Other than that, I got my sneaky scoundrel up to level 17. Basically starting a little underleveled on Nar Shaddaa, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do about that. Maybe a single player space, good old-fashioned style, easy leveling. That might be a way to get to it. Anyway, I'm gonna get him into the 20s this weekend, I hope, to get into the Lobi Rakul areas. So I understand that you have to be at least level 20 to start it up. So
well, that's what Dolphy's Guide said, but everywhere else I've been reading says 25.
Okay, and that might make sense because I noticed that the little normal critters in the tunnels were actually level 25.
Right.
So that would make sense. Boy, if it only lasts 1 week, I'll have to hustle to get it to 25, but we'll see if I can do it.
Right.
Yeah, and the GSF was bugged for a while on, that wasn't popping, and War Zones also on Saturday weren't popping for quite some time. But I did finally get in on one on my Scoundrel, and so he's now been in a War Zone, and that was fun. Haven't done the sneaky melee thing in war zones before, and it feels very different. Also feels very scary because at level 16, 17, whatever I was at the time, didn't have a lot of tools, so and don't have a vanish, so no way to get out of trouble. But it was pretty sweet. So I'm enjoying that, and yeah, I'll have to do some power leveling, see if I can get up to 25 then by the end of the week. So that will be that, and we'll get on to the tip of the week. And let's see, we have 5 tips of the week this time. If you have a tip of the week, you can send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com. And the first tip comes from Snowy. Snowy writes, "Can't take much credit for this tip as it's a copy and paste from a ticket I submitted in-game. I had a problem similar to the gloves glitch on my trooper that I sent in a picture of a while back. In other words, the gloves weren't showing up. This time it was my Sage's chess piece, and it happened after a Galactic Starfighter match. The following is an excerpt from the ticket response, and it fixed my problem, so I thought it'd be worth sharing. Quote, if a character or NPCs is missing graphics or body parts, or if the game world is not rendering correctly, please delete the bitrater folder in your installation folder, by default found here. And then there's a couple of links. It'll be in the show notes. And great show, guys. Listening to you helps my Fridays at work fly by. So thank you, Snowy. And yeah, so it's always good to have a good tip for when something goes crazy with your client.
Though it is worth noting that you only have that folder if you have installed the game since they added in the streaming downloader. For example, in my installation, I don't have it because it's older than that. So this must be a glitch that was introduced as a result of the streaming downloader.
Okay. Right. I'm sure I do then, because when I got the new computer, it did start with the
Right.
Wait, so what was...
version of it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was that you were just saying about with the streaming downloader? Because I just installed that.
I'll talk to you later. Just move on.
Okay.
Second tip from Ricky. He says, it's not really a play tip, but I found it neat. When you're traveling between planets, this is on your ship, if you run as fast as possible to your starship's exit, and if the exiting progress bar completes before the ship exits hyperspace, you can see your ship leave hyperspace from an exterior view. It's simplest to do when the exit is close to the bridge with few sharp turns like the Sith or Jedi starships. Very difficult on a smuggler unless you're really good with a rocket boost.
So I did try this on my night, and I did actually manage to see the hyperspace tunnel. I didn't actually see my ship though. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I might try a few more times, see if I can actually see the ship come out. But yeah, had no idea. So great tip.
Yeah, that's something that me and my friends, anybody with that we talk to with the Jedi ship, because it's so easy to step out of the cockpit and just jump down to the door. It's a lot of fun to see hyperspace straight out of the Millennium Falcon in the movies. I mean, it's so cool.
Yeah, the blue tunnel.
Yeah.
All right, third tip from Mike, aka Hot Sauce from Prophecy of the Five server. This tip is related to something mentioned last week about how all the free armor mailed as part of the GSF launch is now legacy bound. I'm in the process of leveling a few characters, with undoubtedly more on the way. Yeah, he's a guy after my heart. I also have unlocked Treek legacy-wide, and found that leveling with her makes questing easier, especially on DPS classes that get their healer later in their story. Yes, indeed. Instead of gearing up Treek over and over and over again on each character that I level up with her, I've just started making what I call Treek's Legacy Leveling Sets, essentially multiple sets of legacy-bound armor with the AIM main stat. I've tried to space them out every 5 to 9 levels. So now, were I to roll a new character and level with Treek, I would have a full set of armor ready to go for her when my character hits level 19, 25, 29, and so on. The process is easier if you first level a character with AIM as main stat, as you can just dump that Toon's old gear into legacy armor as you buy or craft new stuff. I'm not crazy enough to make both healer and tanking sets for Treek for each level block, but conceivably one could do that if so inclined. Also, if credits weren't an issue, you could purchase legacy-bound weapons from the bounty event rep vendor to go along with each armor set.
That's brilliant.
It's very clever.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know if I have enough leveling characters at this point to do that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Usually I just craft new stuff, but then just overwrite the mods as I upgrade. But
exactly. But this way, yeah, you could take advantage of all that armor lying around now.
Yes.
All right.
Cool.
Fourth tip from Fisk. My tip this week is that the Beastmaster achievement is now attainable. Did you hear that, Red?
He's probably already got it.
Maybe he does.
No, the Beast... I mean, I was just reading through this and I had no problem with any of the codex entries except for Ilum.
Okay.
And he's referencing a lot of other locations.
Right. Fisk is writing, the Cathhound Codex entry is on Alderaan, and the Bogwing Codex entry is on Belsavis. The Asharal Panther is only available when the Gree event is on. The Panther is one of the combat specimens on the northern part of the Western Ice Shelf. Right.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see if maybe perhaps all these things he's referring to are actually entries for Ilum, but they're actually found on other planets, in which case I'll have to pursue them. But I hadn't had problems with any of the planets except for Ilum. So,
Right.
if that is true, well, I'm pissed that I didn't get that codex entry when the Gree event was here.
All right. And the fifth tip from Kuze. My tip of the week is for copying your customized... Excuse me. Sorry. I'll start over. My tip of the week is for copying your customized UI profiles over to the test server or other SWTOR accounts. The first thing you need is to sign up and have a character copied to the test server. This will create the folder needed to copy your customized UI profile to. You will find the customized UI profile that you currently use in-game in the app data folder on your hard drive. I'm sure Tio has a faster way to access this file, but I'm a little slow, and normally I go the long way. The path is as follows, and then there will be a link in the show notes. And once you're there, you can copy all of your customized UIs and paste them into the public tests folder in the same location under GUI profiles.
If only there was an easy way of finding that, but I don't think there is. What I should do is update the moving SWTOR between computers guide I did a while ago for Madmar that's on the site and just do a mini version of it because it's kind of a superset that includes moving your GUI profiles with all the paths and how to actually see app data if you normally can't.
Okay.
It's all in there.
Oh, that's right, because you have to show
It's a
hidden files, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and that was 5 tips, and by random allotment, the winner was Kuze. So congratulations, Kuze, you're the winner of a Talonfon code, courtesy of BioWare, and one of the latest cartel packs, courtesy of OotiniCast. And that will bring us to the holofeed. Tio?
Alright, on Tuesday during regular maintenance, we had Game Update 2.5.2a. This had very little in it, actually. Though one surprise addition were 2 more premium gunships. Now these ones are reskins of the original gunships that we had with the old unlock back for subs who got in early.
Okay.
Well, you can determine whether you like the look or not. All the gunships on the pub side at least are pretty ugly. But yeah, anyway. But these, unlike the other ones, the premium ones that appeared last week in the cartel packs, these ones are directly purchasable from the cartel market.
I see.
And interestingly,
not random drops.
Correct. And interestingly, this probably means that as of February 4th, instead of 24 starfighters available total, there'll be 26, because now there's an extra couple.
Right.
So, for whatever reason, they've done it this way.
All
That's
right.
pretty much it for the pack, though it was suggested somewhere that this was needed to enable the Rakghoul event, but that's not true because it actually started about an hour before the servers went down for maintenance. That was already in there. Didn't need to patch for that. But we'll talk about that a bit later. Now, Game Update 2.6 on the PTS. As we know, we went through the patch notes last week. It has been updated. They've made some more changes. They're actually finally doing a focus test tonight on the day that we're recording, Wednesday night. So hopefully they'll get some focus testing of the bomber, etc.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so the bits from the patch notes will draw attention to. There's a bunch of bug fixes, of course. They have reduced the bomber's base shields, so they're about the same as gunships, which really is fairly thin, actually.
Oh, yeah,
While
that's
they're-
unfortunate.
And their hull remains stronger than Strike Fighters. And
Okay.
my Strike Fighter's hull isn't anything special, I'll be honest. So, yeah, it looks like they're not quite the behemoths that they were
Right.
previously.
Well,
Yeah.
from everything I heard on the original test server, the bombers were crazy overpowered, so this was natural.
Yeah, well, I
suppose.
mean, I don't mind tuning down overpowered. It's a shame that they're making them less survivable. But I did have a quick question. I heard that the hyper, what do you call that thing?
Hyperspace beacons.
Yeah, the hyperspace beacon that they deploy when you kill the bomber, that despawns. Do all of their probes and everything else despawn when they die? Do you know?
I don't
question.
remember. Don't know.
Because I'm really curious. I'm hoping that those actually do remain, but I do like the idea of the hyperspace beacon going away.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
I would assume the drones would go away as well, actually, and mines and everything else. But I don't
I'm
know for sure.
I'm curious, and I can't. This is unconfirmed, but I do believe I've killed a scout when they've had their probe deployed. They have their sensor probe they can deploy,
Mm-hmm.
and then killed the probe afterwards. So I
Right.
think it might exist that's possible. I just don't know. I'm really curious about
They could
these
do it either way.
bombers. Yeah, they could totally go either way. I'm
We will
really
see.
excited about them now.
Indeed.
Yeah, I can't wait to try them.
Gonna change everything. Now, another change, which it's bizarre that it's taken this long. Selected ships can now be removed from the readied ship menu. This is when you bring up your hangar, the little 5 ships at the bottom, the row of 5. At the moment, you cannot take them off. You can change which ones are there. You can drag new ones
I
in to
see.
replace the ones you already have, but you can't actually move them off.
In
So,
other words, once you have 5, you will always have 5.
correct.
Okay.
But now, on 2.6, you will be able to remove them. I suspect the first thing I'll do is remove them all except for my strike fighter. And maybe but
Right.
we will see. They have added a new missile, a new component, EMP, electromagnetic pulse, obviously, missile. What it does, it's designed as a counter to clustered enemies or mines and drones. On impact, emits a 3,000 meter radius pulse, which damages and disables mines and drones. Any
Mhm.
player ship caught in the blast will suffer minor damage, but have their systems rendered unusable. This would be a perfect thing to lob at a satellite where you have a little bomber orbiting around it or whatever, and a whole bunch of mines and drones.
Now,
Dude.
it's for strike fighters. Is that Pike and Quell? Is that the type that you fly?
Quell's the default
Sadly,
gunship.
no.
Well-
That's not correct. The default is a Starguard on the pub side,
No,
and
the Quell is the default gunship.
the Pike
It
is
says
a...
strike fighters here.
Quell.
yeah.
The Pike is the one that you purchase that's a strike fighter. The Quell is the default gunship.
Interesting.
All right, hold on. Let me check that so we got this right. I thought that was something else. Sorry, chat room. We're just going to have a production break for a moment. Because,
Well, I could be wrong. Sorry. I've got my spreadsheet open. It's
Yes.
Quarrel is the default gunship.
yes.
So there's a
this is
Quarrel
better.
and a Quell. Okay. Sorry for the detour.
It's all right. I usually fact check you after the show and cut you at that point. So we get to do it live. All right, where were we? All right, so the EMP missile is available on strike fighters, the Pike and Quell.
Quell.
Sadly, that is not the one I fly. I fly the
Right.
Starguard rather than the Pike.
Would you ever level up another strike fighter?
I'd rather not.
Well, of course, it'll be pretty easy when you turn in all those shipwreck.
Yes,
I'm actually
that's true.
I'm actually quite excited by this because Pike is my primary strike fighter. The problem is I'm actually really happy with my proton torpedo
Right.
cluster missile combo
Right.
right
Yep,
now.
you have to give it a try then. See which
But
one.
I will, yeah. As soon as I get ship mastery, that's probably going to be one of the new things I do, especially once these bombers are out and we see how important that really is.
All right.
I might actually need. I hope maybe at this point they might come out with the cartel skin for the Pike, so that I can
Sounds
have
like they
two.
Adding additional ones, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be
So-
adding them rapidly enough. So
EMP missile, minor damage, but have their systems rendered unusable. Does that mean they won't be able to steer, or does it just mean they won't be able to use their on-use abilities?
That makes the latter makes more sense, like your shield repair if you've got that one enabled, that kind of thing. It's
Mhm.
pretty cool. Yet another change, which is excellent. I would really like this for my strike fighter. Damn it! All right. Anyway, moving on. That's all on the BTS now. Still got time to test. Remember, all this is due on February 4th, which is really not that far away now.
Not that far away, yep.
Basically, a week and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
and Ben B55 did make a good point. The Quell very likely is the mirror to the Pike on the Imperial side.
It is certainly the unlockable one, not the default one.
Right, the unlockable one on the Imperial side. So
Yeah.
that would totally make sense.
All right, so the combat team have provided their reasoning for the apparent nerf to Orbital Strike and the Freighter Flyby. So, anyone want to summarize this? Well, basically, in summary, the reasoning is that too many people using Orbital Strike and Flyby in their single target rotation. What they wanted to do was weaken it so that they stopped doing that, basically.
Right.
Because that
So
didn't
it's
make
still
any
viable
sense.
on multiple targets, but it's not no longer efficient on a single target.
Yeah, and they go on to say this is just the first phase of a number of changes that they're going to make. So who knows where they go from here.
Yeah, I noticed that they currently the marksman sharpshooter tree is the one that has the flyby orbital strike bonuses. It's interesting that they mention that things will improve for this ability for engineering/saboteur. So kind of gives me a hint that maybe they're thinking not of straight damage bonuses, but maybe it'll do other things. Maybe it'll debuff them in the enemies in some way, or have other sorts of sort of effects.
Possible. Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it does make sense because the engineering saboteur is more of the AoE tree,
It's true.
so it would
And it's
fit
also very
better there.
gadgety. Yeah, it's also very
Yeah.
gadgety, so kind of works for this thematically.
And they could add new talents to buff its damage specifically, as well as debuffing or whatever.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing that.
All right. Let's talk about events. Bounty Contract Week, which apparently was on last week. Actually, my friend Crew was doing it, and he said he was surprised by just how many characters were actually doing the bounty contracts. But like whenever he went out there to do one, there were people around. So clearly people are still pushing through it, the bounty contract stuff.
Yeah.
Now, it finished as scheduled on Tuesday US time at 2 a.m., an hour before maintenance, as mentioned earlier. And as soon as it did, the Rackle event started.
Yep. That's
Wow. Straight
to
from
be
one to the
expected.
other. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Well,
Actually, I was just going to say, I did have with the Bounty Hunter event, I do know quite a few people that were actually doing it because rather than do dailies, they quite enjoyed doing the Bounty Hunter event because it's just different and gets them moving around the galaxy. I think that might keep people engaged and excited about it. And it's just a very different event. It's nothing like anything else in the game. So.
Yep. And we've got a lot of people coming back to the game because of Galactic Starfighter.
Oh, yeah.
that's true. And at Ferris Terran on Twitter just mentioned that, or in his words, another love letter to an in-game calendar because he had no way of determining when the event would actually finish. There is a web page on swirtle.com that shows you the details of the in-game events, which I'll link to. I mean, it's been around all along, but unless you know to go there, there's nothing in-game to tell you when the event will end. So, yeah. Or anyway, even just a note when you log in, just indicating event will end.
So when is it meant to end?
2 a.m. Pacific.
This coming Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so that's when the Bounty Contract Week ended, and it turns out that is also when the Rackle event will end. It is only here for a week, and the only place that's been mentioned is on the page I just mentioned.
Right.
So we only have a week. It will end at the same time.
That's...
Okay.
Well, that makes it seem like it's definitely going to be happening a lot more frequently than I was hoping it would happen. How often do you think it's going to be returning?
I would guess every month or
Yeah.
two.
Right.
6 to 8
About
weeks,
like
maybe.
About like
And-
everything. Mhm.
Presumably it's going to be on Alderaan, at least for a while.
No, they will have the different planets. Well, so rumor has it there are at least a couple more planets on which it will be located, and let us hope that they've actually got a different version of the tunnels.
Right, I
Which
was
of
going
those
to say,
planets?
yeah. Would it just be
Oh, I
the
hope
same-
so, yeah.
Same map or not?
Yeah. If you
Well-
don't want to be spoiled, don't look at achievements.
Yeah, it is all right in there, isn't it?
Good mention.
Well,
do
we'll
you recall
definitely...
what the planets are? Corellia and somewhere else?
Voss would make sense, but I don't know.
Tatooine, Corellia.
Oh, it will go back to Tatooine?
Should make sense, yeah.
Completely return to the previous one, but with the reinvented format, I take it?
Underground, it'll be in tunnels again. They're going to do
Right.
the tunnels every
So-
time. Well,
That's cool.
we
So the
think-
original will at least
we
still stand
think-
alone.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And obviously, when it's on Corellia and on Tatooine, they won't have the Killiks and all of those
Right.
guys in there.
Presumably they're going to at least change
Presumably they'll
that.
have, yeah.
Different
Sand
different
people or
animals
something.
and different
Yeah,
sentience.
sand
and
people and whatever. And Tio, you speaking of the original Rakghoul event, you mentioned that if someone held on to their original Rakghoul bits from that event, that they can use it in the current version.
It turns out that the vendor, Jivik, the little Jawa guy who was located way out there on Tatooine, and he was the vendor for the original Rakghoul event, he's back. You can find him in the heroic area of the Rakghoul tunnels. He's sort of wandering around. Somewhere in the tunnels you will find a little mission object that will say "Find Jivik," and you pick that up, and that will actually point you at him, but you go to him directly if you want. Now, one of the things he will trade is the old Rakghoul DNA samples. I have 23 left over. If you have 50, you can trade them for every 50 for one of the new Rakghoul DNA canisters, which are the new currency. But if you've got less than 50, as I do, you can trade them 1-for-1 for the Rakghoul vaccine.
I've totally forgotten. Are they tradable among your characters?
Yes, people can sell them.
In fact, you can sell them directly. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I do know I have some scattered around. I hope I have enough that, 50 would be a nice number.
Yeah. But you can otherwise just get the vaccine. Speaking of the vaccine, let's talk about that. The Rakghoul plague can, just like it was the first time, be spread between characters. And so you will see a lot of people coughing disgustingly and eventually exploding. And anyone in the
Yay.
vicinity will be infected unless you have purchased yourself the vaccine. Now, the vaccine costs 2,000 credits. You can purchase it from any medical droid, including the ones on the fleet. Any medical droid. It's called Rakghoul vaccine. It's about halfway down the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will last for 6 hours. It will not persist through death. You can purchase a stack of 10. So recommend buying more than one just in case you die.
Yeah, that's
The
pretty
other
expensive
side
if
of
you're on
that-
Lobby.
The other side of that is do be aware that by blowing up and infecting people, there is a daily that gives you a reputation token. It might give you a currency thing too, but you only need to infect 3 people. So do let yourself blow up and infect 3 people each day.
Right.
But carry the
Dr. Red says, let yourself blow up and infect
Right.
other people.
Well, I mean, you know me. There's an achievement that you need to get 100 people before the event ends anyway, so I don't use inoculations at all. But the other thing is, too, actually, once you hit newcomer, which is very achievable in that first week, they have relics that their on-use activatability is inoculation. So, and it makes you immune. So that's pretty cool.
Useful. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're cheap. They're only like 10 or 20,000 credits.
That's excellent.
And they've got endurance and presence on them. So
Otherwise useless, but yeah.
well, but if you're doing those dailies with a companion out, the presence is going to be helpful to get them done faster.
True.
Guess how much presence is it?
Well, and also
Like 60, I think.
also if you haven't, if you're not going for lighter dark side, then there's very little leveling options for relics. So
Exactly.
that'll be good too.
They did change this time on the second level of infection. It's now a 20% chance every 4 seconds that you start coughing.
Yeah, it gets
Right.
really irritating.
It is really, really hard to tank with that because you are constantly being stunned basically every 4 seconds. It was really tough, and all the mobs have knockbacks and stuns anyway. I felt like I would just launch a taunt out and then just stand there while they just kept stunning me, and I coughed, and they stunned me, and I coughed, and then finally they were dead. So it is. It was not helpful.
No, it's true. If you're gonna let yourself blow up on people, best to do it on the fleet. It's 10 minutes for phase 1, 10 minutes for phase 2, 3 seconds till you blow up.
Hmm.
Um, 2 tips I've noticed actually when I'm mounted. Now, the character that I've been using, I've been mostly using the free mount that we got recently. What was that for? Was it with the launch of the Galactic
I think it was
Starfighter?
Galactic. I think it was Galactic Starfighter, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I've been using that mount, and I also on my other character that I've actually been doing the PvP side of it, was using the Life Day event Gree looking mount. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so I don't know if those are special mounts or anything, but I noticed when I was mounted, I never coughed and spit.
Okay.
So it's nice to know if you're mounted, you seem to have some sort of protection anyway. And then as a gunslinger, hunker down does prevent it from happening too.
All right.
All right.
Worth noting, we mentioned the original Rakghoul event, the timing of it last week. I went back and checked. It actually kicked off on a Sunday, 16 April, and then just ran through basically for a week and a bit and finished the maintenance the second Tuesday after that. So Sunday we went for another week or so and then it finished. So
Yeah, I remember
it felt
being
like longer, but yeah, it wasn't.
I actually remembered it being really short, and I remember a lot of people,
I remember it
because
being
there was
short
no publicity going into it, a lot of people were really disappointed because they
I couldn't.
missed out.
Yeah, I couldn't finish it basically on any of my characters. I got reasonably far, so I got some of the pets and stuff, but yeah, I missed out on some of the end.
Yeah, the daily gating really
end
prevented
parts.
a lot.
The gating was really rough on that one, but no gating on this one. This will be pretty straightforward.
There's a
Now,
little
as
bit.
mentioned,
But we'll talk
it's
about it.
available on for level 25 plus. It seems that you're not bolstered. Instead, the mobs in there are level 25. When you engage them, that one dies, and then ones of your appropriate level spawn. So I found a lot of corpses of varying levels lying around when I was bioanalyzing them. However, you can actually do the operation, in which case you apparently, according to Dolphy, are bolstered to 55 if you actually want to do the eyeless.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
You can
that's
do a
very
turtle
cool.
mix.
So you can do an operation
Very cool.
at level 25.
Yes.
That's
Very
really,
slick.
really cool.
Yeah.
When you're
alright.
bioanalyzing them, were they giving you different levels of materials?
Yeah, I
Yes.
was curious about that.
Slick.
Yes, that's how I knew I ended up with all these mats from all the various levels. So I was like,
Well, and
bit
those
weird.
people that didn't get to participate in the original Rakghoul, that was a mechanic that they had with the original event, was as soon as you attacked, then things would spawn and they would be your appropriate level.
Right.
So they brought
They're
that
doing that.
directly back for that.
well, they're doing that for all the events actually.
Yeah, that's
Right.
pretty common on events now.
And it's also something that you might as well be aware. Don't worry, your attacks are not working wrong. When you attack the first time, if you haven't aggroed, if you deliberately attack, you do no damage, because then it calculates what you are, and then you do damage afterwards, and the other things spawn at appropriate level and stuff.
So start off with a cheap attack.
Exactly. Just do an auto attack, yeah.
That guy just insta dies effectively.
No auto attacks
Right.
on SWTOR.
Chong sent in a little tip. This is at Empire Divider. It seems you can use the MGGS, that gadget you can buy on Alderaan, used for various
Magnetic-
datacrons.
Grappling hook.
To get to the Imp's side of the Rakghoul Cave, if you're pub, obviously. And it's just something you can grapple to.
That's hilarious.
That's so cool. I'm glad he tested that, because as soon as I saw it, that's exactly what I thought of. But I didn't test it, because of course mine's in my cargo hold.
Right.
But
And, well,
I am
I-
so going to bring my friends and do exactly that.
you do buy the MGGS on Alderaan, so it's not too far away.
Good
Indeed.
point, and totally totally relevant. And actually, knowing that it's going to Corellia eventually, one of the datacrons, you need that same device in order to get to it on Corellia. So, cool.
Alright, so to just finish up, Dolphy has got a very thorough guide, as you would expect.
Yeah.
To
rocks.
kick it off, use the news terminal on the fleet. That will send you to, at least this time, to Alderaan. You have to travel to the area. It's a bit hard to miss the spike, which is a spike. It's really, really big.
Yeah.
There is a quick travel point inside near the entrance, but you can't quick travel to that from Alderaan. You do have to actually physically get there, get inside. Now, if you come up to the spike and you're trying to use the elevator button and it's not working, it's all grayed out. That's because you're using the other faction's elevator. You have to circle round and you'll find your own faction's elevator on the other side.
That happened to me. It's kind of embarrassing because there is a big symbol right above the door, but I happened to be following someone to the door, so I was looking at them and not really looking very much around, and so yeah. So then I went around and it was fine.
So make sure you grab your quick travel point when you get inside. The dailies themselves are really easy to do. There is a Heroic 4 area, so you can do that as well. We did that yesterday. All easy enough.
The Heroic 4 does at least seem to, especially with the champions, you at least need a healer with you.
Yeah. You can 2-man it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it's just just like the Gree Heroics, just a little, it just takes a while, basically. Not as bad as a Gree one.
Yeah.
With those big joys, but yeah.
And on a PvP server, probably better to have at least 3. Just from personal experience.
Yeah, so note, even though there are achievements, etc., associated with killing players, none of this is auto PvP flagged on a PvE server, obviously, so have no fear.
Cool, so that is very different from the Gree event.
Yes, there is no separate PvP thing. This is just a chance for organic open world PvP. There are quite a few players who are actually flagged that I've seen from both factions, but if you don't care about that and don't want to engage, you are not forced to. The Eyeless which is the new event boss, is located inside. Now, let's mention at this point the OSW guild guys. They are the ones we mentioned previously. They do some fantastic videos, just general SWTOR guides of different levels, like moderate. Depending on your level of experience, they cater to them all. They've done a guide for story mode version of the Eyeless. It's nice and compact and tells you everything you need to know. Looks like a fun fight.
Very cool.
Hopefully we will get in there soon. I did want to mention its location is close to the Heroic area, and there is a quick travel point. So when you're doing the dailies, make sure you grab that quick travel point, so when you want to do the op with other people, you can just quickly quick travel there from inside.
Oh, that's nice. It is instanced, right?
There is an instance for the Eyeless, yes. You have to zone in.
So you don't have to worry about PvP interactions on the boss.
Correct. And yeah, that's about it for the event. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
So just for those people that didn't have experience with the original Rakghoul event, a big, at least as far as we know so far, well, clearly it doesn't seem like there are daily unlocks that show up. So that's, very different. It does look like we at least have some gated things based off of reputation, because you can't go to the boss until you're outsider, which is the first.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I thought you could go in.
You can't purchase the item until you're outsider. 1,000 credits, but it is outsider dependent.
It's the same as the Gree. It's the same way you have
the Gree was newcomer, I believe, actually.
Is that second level for Gree?
Yeah. And only time will tell. We also had with the Gree event that there would be, there was a quest that happened once you hit friendly, so we don't know what else there might end up showing up. But so anyway, I did have a little bit of a story, because that one vendor that's in the Heroic area that wanders around, who was originally
the Jawa, yeah.
Yeah, he was the original vendor from the original event.
Yes.
He was also in an area on Tatooine that was highly contestable, because it was one of the few areas where Imperials and Republic overlapped, and of course it encouraged organic MVP or PvP. Yeah, I definitely had somebody that I didn't know at the time, who is now somebody that we've been doing ops with and doing Galactic Starfighter with, and who plays with us a lot now, was complaining because she hadn't been able to get the color crystals in certain items, because she went to go get them on the last day, and it was just this massive explosion of PvP, and nobody could purchase anything because everyone was killing everyone. Yeah, that was our fault. We totally thought, hey, it's the last day and we've already bought everything. Hey, our entire guild, let's go sit on this vendor and kill all the imps. all the imps responded. And it was a beautiful experience, but oops, I've apparently made some friends that we completely ruined their their experience of the first event.
And that's why we're not on a PvP.
Yep.
No doubt. But the achievements this time for this event, even compared to all the other events, I'm actually quite happy with them. They are easily attainable. I was quite pleased. If you read them specifically, there are some that are clearly Alderaan. They say very clearly, for Alderaan do this, and you get achievements, and others are worded much more vaguely. And like you were saying, Tio, apparently it's going to be a tunnel environment wherever it transitions to. They say, within tunnels, kill this many.
Right.
So it looks like we will have those transitioning through the tunnels, but then if you look at the achievements for Alderaan, make sure you knock those ones out in particular, because that won't be there when you leave Alderaan. And the numbers are really low, even for PvP. Like, of course, there's going to be an incentive for PvP, but the highest achievement, there's 3, is only kill 100 players, as opposed to a lot of planets which are like 2,000. You know,
Right.
100 is easily doable. Like I said, on our first night, we killed 30, and I can tell you, once we're done killing 100, we aren't going to be hunting people anymore. And my only question is going forward, I'm very curious. Of course, they've obviously taken very much the same format with all of our current events. And I had a long rant and diatribe about, I don't like this new implementation, but then I had a friend who actually phrased it quite elegantly. It would be nice to see more story. We got a story that took us from the fleet to Alderaan, and then we had one that took us from Alderaan down to the tunnels, and then we had one that sent us into the tunnels. And that's it. It would be nice to have an event that at least has a reason, even just something that just says once you've done the dailies the first time and says you return back and they say, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. But, right now it's just a daily, weekly area. I'm curious to see what happens when you unlock new reputation levels and everything. And I am cautiously optimistic that there's going to be more, especially since it's going to new locations. But I do hope they have an event that's not just a set of dailies.
Right.
So according to Dolphy's guide, the eyeless is an operation boss, yada yada. There is no reputation requirement to enter his lair. You only need the rep to actually access the mission that rewards the various bits and pieces. So is that true? Because from what you were saying before, you couldn't actually get in there unless you're outsider.
Oh, well, I don't know. I know you need the rep to get the item. I thought the item allowed you to get in.
No.
So the item is just a quest?
To get the mission.
Then you can go do it.
All right.
Okay.
Let's not mislead people. So, all right.
I mean,
moving on. That's
one quick thing. We did the Heroic 4 yesterday, and it's pretty solid. It's not really all that fancy. I would say you could, if you're geared, you could probably do it with less than 4. The damage is not that spectacular, and the stuns and whatever are pretty easily dealt with.
Well, Bill said he was two-manning it, so...
Yeah, and I could totally see even two-manning it. The only thing is that they have a lot of hit points, and it's going to be a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
Because even with R4, it takes a little while to get those champs down.
Yeah. I got him to 20% solo.
Wow.
With Treek healing me. I got it down to 20%, but I died 3 times, so I found somebody else to run with me.
Very nice.
Is there any reason to kill the open world boss guy? Do you know?
Oh, the one outside, kind of on the hill going down to the spike? I saw him, but I didn't see him. Yeah, I didn't fight him or anything.
I think there were 3 of us together, and we attacked him and realized we weren't enough.
It drops the exotic plague specimen.
Which you do need for some items. So it's because I did notice some of the pets and different items that you buy, you need 4 different types of currency token thing turn-ins. So that's probably what that's for.
Right. Okay, so it is towards a pet. Okay, good.
All right, can we wrap up on that? All right, one more story for the news because we're running long. It's from Superdata, which is apparently a company that provides market intelligence on free-to-play and digital games. They've published their top 10 money earners in the category of worldwide free-to-play over the year 2013, last year. And SWOTA actually ranked up there, earning $139 million in additional revenues, and that is presumably in addition to whatever they get from subs.
Nice.
So when you think about how much you would get from, say, 200,000 plus subscribers, that's actually a lot of extra money. So, yeah, it is. So, yes.
No, that's really inspiring that they're in the top 10.
Fine.
Top 10 globally? That's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, a lot of games I would have expected to be there that weren't. So,
really?
Yeah, so I'll link to the article. You can have a look. Yeah, impressive stuff.
And they could be, but Star Wars beat them out.
I'm going to leave that next one for next week, and that's the news.
All right, that'll bring us to the Community Corner, and we'll start with the Utini Templars rating report. This is from Cal. G'day, guys. This week I was all set to close up shop and go raiding on Wednesday night, and one of the freezers blew up at work. I spent most of the rest of the night helping the tech fix it, and found out the next day that my non-attendance meant that nobody raided that night. Sorry, all. Thursday night we were missing Greg and PJ, and Jace was looking after his sick wife. Best wishes from all of us, by the way. So I got on my tank, and we pugged a few guys to do Taburo's Courtyard story mode and Scum and Villainy up to the weekly. The most notable thing that happened was that Ari got the crying emote. I urge everyone on Twitter to have a look at her pic. It looks ridiculous and had us all in stitches. Cheers all, Cal. Nice. And let's see. Isaac's raid group says...
This is a post that he made on the forums. What he said was, once basketball season is over, beginning of March, I'm going to attempt to form an inside raid team, looking at any night except Monday, starting any time after 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Please reply if you are interested. Don't worry about role or class at this point, just seeing if there are enough warm bodies. I will link to Isaac's post in our general OotiniCast forum. So if you're interested and have a character on Inside Harbinger, and if you're not in the guild, you're more than welcome to join, of course. Yeah. Isaac is organising this group.
All right, excellent. And a tweet from the OSW Guild.
Oh, we did already mention that. So.
Okay. So, all right, passing that. And let's see. And Tio, you wanted to mention something about Dolphy's class guides.
Over the last couple of weeks, Dolphy has been putting up a number of really thorough, most excellent class guides, which she's presumably sourced from a bunch of different players. They, at this point, as far as I can tell, cover pretty much everything except for Sentinels and Marauders, DPS. But she's got guides for everyone else, and they appear to be extremely good, at least the ones I've looked at so far. And for Sentinels and Marauders, I'm sure she'll add one, though there is Yessi's awesome guide on Hot Pants Republic. So that's one I would recommend. But Dolphy's guides for everything, really good.
Yeah, I wonder if the Hot Pants one is the reason they put that one off till last.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right. Force feedback where we read out your tweets and emails. The Malgadar wrote, quote of the week, 115. Tip of the day, don't die. Part of Bill's great money-making tips. This also happens to be the Malgadar's tip of the day, every day in real life. Waking up is like winning the lottery. All right. Madmar at Swotor Family tweeted to Bill, thanks for your money-making tips on OotiniCast 115. Gonna have another listen and make a few credits. I just want a comfy amount. And yeah, Bill, and we had some from last episode thanking you, Bill. So yeah, you've got fans already.
Good to hear. Who doesn't like money?
All right, and here's a couple more. So Armor Gregan at GregCarter78 just listened to the episode with Bill's money-making tips. Thanks for taking the time and sharing, Bill. I can't believe I've been using biomats all this time instead of cyber for augmenting components. Arrgh! And let's see, Dylan Cotter at Darklighter159 wrote, I can confirm selling greens on the GTN as Bill suggested works. I sold the greens I picked up from Tython at level 10 for 200 credits or more. Let's see, and also, yet another one, Kuze. I'm just writing to tell Bill thank you for the awesome tips last week. Bill has got me refocused on making the coins instead of spending them. I made 1.6 million in a 24-hour period last week. Can't wait for this week's tips on making more cheddar. That's street for money. Yeah,
Excellent.
if we're in the 1930s. Let's see. K Madman at K Madsen. What is the new thing in collections/toys? Page 5, bottom corner, Starfighter Battle Camera.
It's only page 4 for me, which is interesting. Must be a different resolution or something. Anyway, so according to the actual item, because I haven't actually seen one, it's a super rare item found in the Wingmans and Dogfighter Starfighter pack. And it's one of the regen items, regenerating health and your class's energy pool. And what it does, use this camera to watch a newscast from a Starfighter battle camera.
Ah.
So, and the little graphic for it, I assume it's just a pre-rendered little scene where you can actually see some Starfighters flying around, blowing stuff up.
That's cool.
It's not like you're watching a live match or anything, but
no.
yeah,
That's pretty cool, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, Chaz Lobo at Strong Shocker wrote to us Chaz Lobo at Strong Shocker wrote to us, 7 and 30-day passes have hit the GTN. Even with a 50% clear rate with all ships, you make enough money to pay for a 30-day and profit.
Yeah, and actually I got to talk to him after he made his purchase. It's really interesting the way that they implement this into the hangar. When he consumed this, when you open up your hangar, or actually it's in the post-game analysis, it shows you as a subscriber, we always see this is what you would have made as a free-to-play.
Right. Yeah.
At his post-game analysis, he gets the exact same feed. If he were still a subscriber, it says, you just made this. If you were a free-to-play, you would have made that. So this literally just flags your requisition earning as a subscriber. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Alrighty, Grimrock at Grimrock tweeted, I just finished the Jedi Knight main story in SWTOR. My goodness, it was brilliant. Congratulations,
Yes.
Grim, and it is brilliant.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's definitely one of the most epic storylines in the game, and that's saying something because some of the others are pretty darn epic as well.
Yeah, it's a great crossover of KOTOR and Star Wars. Just epic story.
All right, Snowy at Beatrice Snowdog, feeling a little sheepish after only yesterday noticing different spawn points in Galactic Starfighter when your team holds the nodes.
So this is worth noting if you haven't actually come across this yet. When the satellites are green to your team, you're actually holding them. You'll notice the little diamonds where on the map when you zone in, you can actually click on them and you will zone in at that point. It's not so useful in the mesas, keyword mesas, but it is actually particularly good in the lost shipyards where you can actually spawn close to A and C if you actually hold them. So yeah, it's alright, Snowy. Hashtag noob, but it's easy to miss.
Yeah, well, hopefully that just means he hasn't been dying a lot. Alright, Snowy also wrote, Gunship comment, I have Slug and Plasma Railgun. I use the Slug to strip shields and do some damage, and then Plasma for a dot to kill, then on to the next target.
Nice.
Yep. And let's see, Snowy also tweeted, not a bad haul if I do say so myself, and he has a picture of a Galactic Starfighter victory screen.
9 kills and 13 assists and 2 deaths, 39k damage, etc. So not bad. Though
39k damage is good.
We do have to contrast this with the gunship master Junadai, who is often with us. He sent in a mail where he said, I had a fantastic GSF match the other night and achieved this new personal best, 28 kills, 8 assists. He only died once, and he did 74,996 damage.
So basically, yeah, as near as Nevermind and 75,000 damage.
And 65% hit is not bad.
Right.
No, that's excellent. Is he a big gunship player?
Oh yeah.
That's all he does, pretty
Okay.
much.
Yeah, because I like 81% is the best I've ever done, and it was absolutely on my gunship. But like the kills 28, that's still huge. I've done 20. 75,000 damage? Okay, I've done
He's
30.
a beast. Yes.
Yeah, he's crazy good. And
He's
I
amazing.
must say, if you're looking for like the achievements for like X number of kills in a match or something, you might have to go to gunship because it's really hard to do that on a scout.
Actually, to be perfectly frank, his objective points blow me away. I've never seen over 500. He got 715.
Right. Well, that means he was basically sitting on one of the nodes the whole time and defending it, I assume.
But I've seen people do exactly that too. I mean, I've just never seen a number. That's 200 above anything I've seen. He must have even been taking out a lot of turrets. Like, the one time he died, maybe he went and took out 3 turrets and then camped the next node after capturing it, you know?
Yeah. I think it also helps,
phenomenal.
if you look at the top, the score is 1,000 to 844, so it's about as long a match as you're going to get as well.
That's true. Yeah. A long duration one is going to help a whole lot.
Yeah. Just like
C55?
regular war zones. I'm not sure, actually.
Is he 50? Yeah. Yeah, of course.
He is? Okay, good. Because, sorry,
On this
I don't
character.
play on a 55, so my credits aren't nearly that high. I'm really glad to see that there's some big credits
Does it keep
that
going?
get higher.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. Tweet from David Carr at Casmus_. My reaction to linking to chat gunship battlelog stats. Let the EPing begin.
No, Galactic Starfighter Battle.
Oh, is that what he meant? Okay. David Carr at Casmus_. My reaction to linking to chat Galactic Starfighter battlelog stats. Let the EPing begin.
Well,
Very nice.
that's what it's for, I guess. Can't think of any other reason you want to link them.
I mean, that's a good thing for the game. People might
Yeah.
not like it, but it's a good thing for the game.
Sure.
Cathgirl at Cathgirl Swotor replied, "It's almost like people care about stats, leaderboards, and poning other players."
Yes, it is.
Good comeback.
Yeah, they do.
Very true.
All right, an email from Graham Awesome Sellers. Hey guys, been meaning to write this in for a little while now about the 3 books on SWTOR called Revan, Deceived, and Fatal Alliance. You probably know this already, but I've been playing the game now for over a year and a half and had no idea until my friend on SWTOR, who calls himself What, told me about them and how they tie in with the game in a massive way. I'm not all that into the story of the game either. I'm about to get on my 4th level 55, and I have no idea of the story for any of them. All right. But the books were awesome. In fact, in Deceived, I watched the trailer with the starship hitting the Jedi Temple and the battle going on, and that's a big part of the book, and they got it down to a T. I couldn't believe, and it's just so awesome to know how that happened and what happened after. The best book is Revan, even more so if you have a Jedi Guardian, as I do. It's massively based around Lord Scourge, and I won't say the next part of the sentence.
Spoiler!
Anyway, I don't know if that's a tip or just info, but you gotta read them. And a question about out there, is there any word of the level cap increasing? A new planet on the way, or when the app is coming out? Tio, I believe the answer is no information on level cap increasing, no new information on planets on the way, and no information on apps coming out.
Certainly nothing on the app coming out, though there was an interview with Jeff Hickman, which we'll talk about next week, in which he does actually talk about the next expansion for the game. And, well, firstly, it'll be paid, and yes, there'll be a level cap increase and a planet.
Okay.
So, don't know when, though. So put your money on the end of this year.
That's where I'm putting mine.
Yeah, before the end of the fiscal year.
Do you think...
Maybe.
Will there be an op before the end of the year?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So don't you think they would also add another planet like Oricon at the same time?
When I say another planet, I mean another planet with leveling content.
Ah, so you're thinking Macab.
Yeah,
Okay.
another McKeb. Well, that'll be excellent. I can't wait to hear about that. So.
Oh, in terms of the books, the recommended order is if you've played through KOTOR 1 and 2, you then read Revan, then you read Deceived, and then you play SWTOR. And Fatal Alliance, I'm not actually sure where that fits in.
Yeah, it kind of stands alone.
Yeah.
Revan in particular, read it before you play the game. I mean, it really is a great lead into the game, and it sets everything up very well.
Right.
It's okay to read Deceived. Deceived really fills in some backstory of characters that you meet in the game, but you don't need it. Well,
Okay.
you don't need it either, but it's a good book.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they are they are very good books, and it is really fun to read them once you know the game, and you can see all the little how everything kind of hooks up. It's very slick that way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like Revan, because that is from the original KOTORs. If you've played them at all, then you're going to want to read that because it's a great bridge.
Yeah, and it would be fun actually to read it before experiencing the game. Obviously, that's not really possible for me right now. Right. Let's see. Turg at the Turg tweeted, "I didn't realize you could see into the cockpit of the enclosed speeder. It looks ridiculously awesome." So this is the one where the it's actually a mount, and it actually completely covers the rider. But apparently, if you can sneak up on it and kind of look in, that's kind of cool.
Agreed.
We'll have to get a picture of that because I mean, when I look at it from a distance, I actually don't see the person at all. So it'll be interesting to see what you see looking in, like from the front or something. All right, Ilmarinen, is that how you pronounce that? Ilmarinen wrote in, "I thought I heard Tio saying he wanted to be able to look around freely in Galactic Starfighter. If so, the F key allows free look. Hold it down and just swing your mouse around to look in any direction. It's high sensitivity on the mouse movement. I don't use it that often because your ship will carry on its merry course into asteroids, mesowalls, and gangs of ravening stings while you're admiring the scenery, but it has its uses. Unlike the minimap, it does show names, so if you're rushing to a location but want to have a quick check of who's over there, it's fine."
Well, sort of. This is different to the free look that they're adding in 2.6. What it actually does when you hold down the F key is give you a view of your ship. It lets you look at your ship from any direction, as opposed to using your camera from remaining your ship as a point of view and then being able to look all around. So you get that effect, but when the new version of it that they're adding will be far more useful in terms of free looking.
Right, because you won't have your ship blocking the middle part of the screen.
It just makes it less awkward to look around. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you tried this in the game, Tia?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
When you did this, do your movement keys still work? So if you're holding down your throttle and trying to move quickly, but then you hit your F key at the same time and swing around?
I didn't try that.
Because I'm curious. That's really my biggest concern is like swapping and switching around. That's fine, but I'd still like to be able to continue to hold my up button and have maximum speed as I'm heading to a location.
I see no reason why it wouldn't work like that. You should be able to free look if you choose, as well as use everything else as normal.
Okay.
Cool. All right, Morpheus of Jedi Covenant wrote, "I just wanted to say that I think if BioWare doesn't add minigames such as Pazak or Sabak, it would be absolutely foolish. For one, the games already exist, so it would be just a matter of implementing them, not creating them. Think of the time sink and credit sync it could provide. I know I would spend hours in casinos. Also, there's the proverbial carrot on a stick, or lack thereof in other parts of the game, i.e. ranked PvP, that they wouldn't even have to provide. Other players' credits or items would be the reward. Seems like a no-brainer to me. What do you guys think?"
Alright, so just a bit of background. Pazak is the mini-game that was created by BioWare in KOTOR.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just a you versus the computer kind of thing, though there are web versions of it that you can actually play right now if you so desire.
Mm-hmm.
Sabak it's certainly mentioned in the movies, I'm pretty sure.
is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly in the extended universe stuff, and the rules have been kind of made up as time has gone on. So what do you think? Should BioWare add them?
I absolutely do. I think it would be a lot of fun, and in the original KOTOR, I mean, I played a lot of Pazak just to play it. I mean, it was a lot of fun. So after a while, you kind of learn the tricks to it, and there's sort of an optimal way to play. and they might need to do a bit of tweaking to to sort of keep it interesting. But it definitely it was a heck of a lot of fun, and it felt very Star Warsy. I don't know. I'm not even sure why. It felt very very in the moment in the game when I was playing that in KOTOR, and I would love to have it in SWTOR as well.
Now, Pazak was basically 1v1, so two players could play each other, though Sabak was more like poker, effectively.
Right. Sabak does seem very poker-like when you see it in for example, the Gunslingers story. You have some Sabak going on.
Yeah. And Sabak actually had a lot of extended universe development. So a lot of the books really expand on that and even give twists and spins, just like with poker. You've got Texas Hold'em and 5-card draw and everything like that.
There's a short story, I believe, where you actually see the game that Lando played to win the
Millennium Falcon.
And then again the next one where he lost it to Han Solo.
Yeah, actually, that was in one of the that was the Jedi. That was the Han Solo trilogy. When younger him, and that's where they could talk through all of that, where he lost the Falcon, gained the Falcon, lost it. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think one of the most exciting things about the fact that they've added Galactic Starfighter is that, I consider it PvP, but a lot of people don't. They just consider it a mini game.
Mm-hmm.
They've added this. I think there's a lot of hope for the future that they can actually add a lot of these other mini games and just expand what we do in the game.
Mm-hmm. And the swoop races from KOTOR are also something that people like to reference.
Yeah.
Possibilities.
Especially multi-user swoop racing. Imagine that.
Well, and let's be honest.
That could be a lot of fun.
Well, let's be honest. The biggest pipe dream is let's add pod racing. Just like the pod racing standalone console game, and go multiplayer against each other and race. I mean, that would be the next Galactic Starfighter edition, and people would totally play the hell out of it.
Yeah, I had the PC Star Wars pod racing game right after Episode 1 came out, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not even a big racing game fan, and I still enjoyed the hell out of that game. So
yeah, exactly. And it wasn't too technical, nothing like Galactic Starfighter, but there's just it was so highly engaging. I mean, it's like the best worst thing of the original movie was the pod racing. It was like so irrelevant to the story, and yet it was awesome, and the video game made it that much better.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Tio, you wanted to mention something that Chong let us know about.
Yep, last thing in the force feedback. This is on cracked.com. They have created themselves a new made for the internet video series called Adventures in Jedi School, starting 27 January. So it's nothing particularly serious. It's really just good fun. So I will link to it. Yeah, but yeah, cracked.com. Adventures in Jedi School.
Yep. I read Cracked a lot, and that's why I was actually aware of this, but I didn't. It's so non-canonical, and that I didn't think to bring it up. But yeah, that's great, and it does look like it'll be fun. So high hopes for that. And
all right. Just before we go, so Bill, go for the half hour. This will be a longer than usual show. There's a few bits I should be able to cut earlier. So yeah, don't feel constrained. Just run the half hour or less if you choose.
Well, we did start 10 or 15 minutes late, too.
We're at hour 21 in.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll probably be a little less.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll get us rolling into it. And that will bring us to the Sarlacc Digest, where we go over the issues for 1,000 years, or until we run out of time. And Bill, we have you back so you can share your financial genius once again.
Well,
so
thanks.
Where would you like to start this week?
No expectations.
Yeah, none at all. So I think what we're going to do, I'll do maybe a little three-piece show tonight. Do a quick recap, a couple of the things that have been brought up. Talk about companion gifts. I know, Red, you brought that up last week, or the last time I was on, about the importance of it. Talk about that a little bit, why it's important, and then expand on trading in the market a little bit. There's a really good post on the official forums this week that I think it's something as we start talking about this and more people are adopting the same techniques, that we understand a little bit about pricing in the market. So we'll talk about that. First off, quick recap. I've identified there's about 7 major ways to make money in the game. We talked last time about 4 of them, really. We talked about first the MK9 kits and the augments.
Right.
That's a big one. Talked about selling mats, the 4 different skills that you could gather and sell for profitability. And then we touched on kind of converting cartel coins into money,
Right.
through
With
selling.
hacks and so on.
Yep. And then trading in the market we touched on. So we're going to expand on that a little bit, especially since there was 2 new packs that came out, all new items, which creates a flood in the market, and that I kind of talked about last week that you can take advantage of both as a short-term and a long-term play. The post that really draw out this week, though, was started by MacShoot on the official forums, and it devolved into what you normally see on the forums. Unfortunately, it started from a good place, and it just devolved into finger pointing. But the basics of the post was, it's tough being someone who's a seller who constantly is being undercut by other people in the market that really don't care about maximizing profit.
Right.
So the 2 sides then started pointing fingers, and the people who don't care about profit have no care in the other side, which we're trying to maximize profit, and it becomes this war within the GTN.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it easily countered by the fact that if you want to make money, which we mentioned in the previous show, you need to have money to make money? If you have money to make money, then buy the people that are undercutting out.
Yes.
And then repost.
Yep. And if you want to be smart and you want to maximize your profitability, you have to remember that the GTN always takes a 6% cut. So
yeah. Right. So
Okay.
you gotta make sure that you're gonna make more than that by doing your maneuver.
right. So if you see something priced and it's priced more than 6% under you, buy it immediately and then repost it. As long as you're getting more than 6%, you're going to make a profit. I don't care. I don't care if I make 100 credits. If you're pricing under me, I'm moving you out of the market and moving the price up.
Right, because not only are you making that very small profit, but it also opens you up to making your normal profit on the rest of the items of the same.
Exactly. So
That's cool. So if they undercut you by 50 credits, then ignore them. Let that bot get bought.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to. Sometimes it's worth your while to take a small loss on it in order to sell 5 more at a big gain.
Right.
But I more than often let those little ones go. So on the smart side then, if you're the person, it does help to undercut the sellers. So if I would go in and I would normally sell something for 20,000 credits, and there's already 10 listings at 20,000, most of us do sort when buying by cost, and it does benefit to be the lowest cost, whether it is by 1 credit or not.
Right.
So it does help to undercut, but undercut small. Don't make big sweeping undercuts. If you do, you will lend yourself to someone like me coming in, swooping, buying you out just to move up the price and take your extra profit.
Okay, that's good information.
I don't think I'm as sophisticated as you are in the market, but generally that's kind of my rule. If the price is relatively reasonable, as it seems to me, as far as I know that particular market, I will undercut by exactly 1 credit. And then, if for some reason, like there's only a few on the market and they're all priced crazy high, then I'll undercut by more. But normally, I do undercut by 1 credit, and that seems to make the most sense to me.
Which makes the both of you smarter than me, because what I would usually do is just round down to the nearest 1,000.
And that's exactly what I was going to just bring up. If a lot of people do that, and you go in and you're like, and what's crazy is sometimes they'll do it on like stacks of 99 of something, and then you round it down by like a big amount because it's
Right.
you have to worry about the cost per unit, and you have to undercut on the cost per unit stack rank instead of the absolute cost stack rank,
Right.
and it makes an even bigger loss for you. Along those same lines, as we're talking about the real world, there's certain triggers, psychological triggers in pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Walmart tends to use one where they found it's actually smart to always end in the number 7. For whatever reason, psychologically as humans, we're more likely to buy something.
Interesting.
I don't find that helps at all in this game whatsoever.
Okay.
So I do actually, if you see a lot of my listings, they do end in 7 a lot because undercutting by 1 credit often leads someone else to undercutting you by a credit and someone else, and I just jump because you can actually go 6 credits less and not make any less money because it's a 6% cost. So it really doesn't make a lot of difference. So I do undercut by very small amounts, and that's it's good to be, I say, that's a responsible user of the GTN. And that's where this post started with. If all you're going to do is go in and dump a bunch of stuff on the market, that's a problem. That's another common problem that people create of themselves. Of at any given time, I might have, we'll say, between 100 and 150 MK9 kits built and ready to go. I would probably never list more than 10 on the market at a time, and I'll list them in single instances.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wait, depending on the price. If I don't like where the price is, and it's currently, let's say it's at 62,000, I don't like that price.
That's
I might not. I won't not list any right now.
Right.
But then if it goes up to 72, I might dump 20 in at that point. And if it's so, it does help not to dump. If you create 10 new ones today, the market might not support all 10 of those items being dumped on it simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Patience comes into play, and you got to trickle them in to maximize your profits.
Right. Well, in your example there, I mean, that's like a 10,000 credit swing, and if you've got 10 of them, you're losing 100,000 credits if you're selling at the low price.
And if you cancel, you'll lose your 6% deposit, right? So
it's
you
not
can't
always.
just pull it.
You do lose your deposit. The deposit's not 6% anymore. They actually lowered that.
Yeah, it's based off of the suggested price, and it doesn't change, right?
Right, and
What is it roughly?
it's different for
vary.
all items.
Right, it'll vary because it is based on the suggested price. So if you're talking about MK9 kits, which sell for way more than their vendor price or suggested price, percentage-wise, it's going to be pretty minor.
So it is important then to be patient, don't dump everything in, be responsible, and don't make huge undercuts, and don't drive down the prices. It seems like all I want to do is make money, and I don't care if I'm undercutting everyone else out there, but actually you're hurting your profits and everybody else's profits by driving the price down quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The more sustained those prices stay down, it's hard to then drive them back up. And that's what we all actually want as sellers, is to drive the prices up. We don't necessarily care about the prices being expensive because we can, I can make them for the guild. I can make them for each other. I give this stuff away, even though I have the greed is good clause, which is probably the tip of the week this week of never give away what you can sell for money. But it is, if you're trying to maximize profits, it's in everybody's benefit that's a seller to keep those prices as high as possible. So be responsible. So don't dump them all in the market. The other part of this post that I really wanted to call out was Malastair made a post about the packs and how the pricing of them work, because it devolved in this large argument of people getting stuff from the new random gambling packs and just thrown them on the market all at once.
Okay.
And when you get all of a sudden in the first day, somebody goes out and puts the brand new shiny mount in for 5 million, and the next person undercuts them down to 3 million, and then 1, and
Right.
then by the end of the day, it's at 50,000 credits. And the person at 5 million is really unhappy about it. So he made a really long post, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but there's 6 steps to this process, and I couldn't have written it more perfect than he wrote it. So 18 hours after release, the first items show up on the GTN. That's after the lockout expires.
Exactly.
Prices vary wildly as players guess at its value. There's no way to know.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking basic supply and demand.
Right, because usually you have only a small idea of how rare they actually are, and you'll have equally small idea of what the demand will be. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's a perfect economic recipe for wild price swings.
Yep. So at that point, your supply is low. There's not many on the market yet. Demand isn't established. We don't know how many there are really out there, how fast their drop rate, and we don't know how popular they're going to be.
Right.
That's the real variable. I mean, you can go into the collections and actually check their rarity in terms of how often they turn up in the packs. Super rare, rare, and there's always past beaters to actually compare against. So, but as you say, if they're butt ugly and no one wants to buy them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I actually took a gamble on a couple this time that ended up being less rare than I expected them to be, and I broke even. The first couple I bought, I made huge profits on. The next couple I bought, I broke even on, and I've stopped trading them because the
Right.
demand has disappeared. So step 2 is within a few hours, the lowest priced items, as in my example, it went from 5 million all the way down to 50,000. Those lowest priced ones are snapped up by people like me going, that is way too low. So we buy
So
out
speculators, basically.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And people that just go, I can't believe I can get this cool new mount for 50,000 credits. It's worth $1 million. So people buy those out, leaving the higher priced ones on it. Then new listings that come on actually cluster around those higher prices. Because people,
Yes.
the people now coming on they're a little more patient. They're waiting for the market to kind of stabilize before they put their listings on. So at that point, the supply is moderate, demand is moderate, but the demand is actually aggressive because if you price it too low, it's going to be immediately snapped up and thrown into a cargo hold.
Right.
So then step 3.
Or potentially, someone who really does actually want it will snap it up.
Sure. So then over the next 24 hours, the bulk of people who bought the packs on release day want to sell their items, and they're tired of waiting, and they dump them all on the market. So buyers then have a lot of options because there are all kinds of prices again. The people like me that have snapped up a bunch already have an inventory, and we don't want to
Right.
buy more.
Yeah, but because at that point, you're also taking on more risk.
So
Can I ask, how many cargo holds can you have total?
5 per alt. So I have the legacy, I have the account-wide unlock. So when I max
right.
out, all
Better
5
way
of
to
them
do
are-
it.
Right. Yeah, last week when I was doing this and taking your advice, I actually started buying some of those account-wide unlocks. So I was just curious how many I could get.
You can do 5.
Yep.
And that's what, as I max one out, I just start another character just for the cargo space. So over the next few days, then step 4, people who've had the desire to buy the items gradually come to the GTN. Sellers now are starting to relist stuff because their original high prices have expired and unsold, and they're bringing the price
Right.
down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's continuing to cluster, and the price becomes more and more set. About a week after the pack is released, which is about where we are now, actually, we're a week in, 8
Okay.
days. Most people who urgently want the items. It's the
I
coolest
gotta
thing I've
have
ever
a
seen.
new- Right, Tauntaun or whatever. Hmm.
They've already bought them. They're out. Most people have managed to get a sale at some price at least once during the week because they've lowered their price to where it actually sold. The remaining sellers find situations where they are the only person selling the item, which is actually not a horrible thing, potentially. They then set those prices higher than normal because there's no competition.
Right. And
And
you're just
then,
hoping that the one guy who really wants it but was away for a week comes back on and snaps it up.
yep, they're fishing for an offer, basically.
Right.
A month later, it's last step 6, the
Okay.
majority of items from the packs are sold. Nobody's buying them anymore. The number of sellers is extremely small for the items. Most of the items that were actually in demand aren't in demand anymore. But there are still some players that still want the item but have been holding out, trying to figure the game out, and are still willing to pay higher prices to get it. So you can actually then, as the packs become less and less frequently open, the demand becomes less and less. And you can actually then really start pushing the prices up. That's kind of the example I used last time with the Life Day robes, where I can snap them up and they're gone. There's no more creation of them. And I immediately up the price by tenfold. And
So you
sold
mean the
them.
supply goes down and down rather than the demand?
Yes. Yeah, I was backwards.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, just as a quick caveat, when's the best time to buy?
So I would tell you that 18 to 24 hours after the pack is released is the best time to really snipe the low prices.
And probably closer to the 24, just
Yes.
because of the global time zones and everything like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So within that 24 to, we'll say, 72 hour after release is the best time to grab it. Then it'll pop back up. It'll come back down. That's your second chance. And that's probably about a week out where we are now. So prices now should be actually lower because the demand is so low. Because everybody that has already rushed out to buy them, that wanted them,
Right, the impulse buyers.
are out. Right. So
Right.
now is not a bad time for long term. So that first 24 to 72 hours is a short term play. Now is your chance to buy for the long term play, to put them in the cargo hold and wait until the pack goes away
Okay.
and hope that new people come into the game that go, where did you get that? And then you can sell it to them. A couple of our general tips around that as well. We said, Red, you're not going to like this one. I make a lot of money standing on fleet and buying out of general chat. And there's two reasons. One is that if you sell through general chat or trade chat, which is more proper, you don't pay the 6% GTN fee.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
if I'm selling something for 3 million credits, I'm not going to sell it on the GTN unless I have to.
So you can actually stand at the GTN and see what the price is and undercut it by 1 credit, but keep your 6%.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Or even somewhat more than that to sweeten the deal. But yeah, if it's below the 6%, you're still golden.
Yep. So there's a lot of times, and people dump stuff in general chat a lot. They don't have the patience. They need the money right now because they need to put a kit on their gear. They need to do something, and they just opened a pack and got a rare drop. And I've bought Varactals out of general chat for 500,000 credits, and immediately sold them for 3 million on the GTN.
Nice. Okay.
Really? Wow.
People are you're just preying, really, you are,
Both
on
spellings
those,
of the word.
yes.
Should get dark side points for this.
You should.
Yeah,
you actually
should.
Or capitalist points.
So it's actually that guy that decides that he wants to spend some cartel coin, and he gets a lucky item out of his bag, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to sell it," and he's too lazy to even walk over to the GTN to find out what the price is, and just says, "Oh, I could get 180,000 credits out of this."
Sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the lack of patience, and we know there's plenty of people out there that have the lack of patience. They want the money now, and they're willing to take what they'll get for it.
Right. Well, this sort of thing happens in real life too. Like a family, like maybe some siblings, the parents die and the siblings inherit the house. They don't want to deal with the house. They don't want to have to pay the upkeep and all that. So they put it on the market, and it's often a lot cheaper than than it might otherwise be.
Absolutely, it's very, very similar analogy. And on the vice versa, you can save yourself the 6% selling that way. So if I am moving big ticket items, I will sell them in trade chat a lot because I won't have to pay the 6% loss on the item to sell it.
I completely appreciate that you said I wouldn't like it. At the same time, because I've been using my Starfighter to start implementing some of these policies, that's the one tune I have not turned general chat off of. So I may actually start to follow this and try it out.
It's pretty interesting. That's and you'll find all manner of stuff. People drop MK9 kits in there for ridiculous prices too, where they'll just sell 10 of them for 50,000 a piece. And
oh, that's cool.
so you can pick up a lot of useful stuff that way. You have to filter everything else out, and my ignore list is maxed. So.
Now, there is a trade chat as well. Do you find it useful, or is there just not enough people using it?
Not enough people use it. I keep it on all the time, but it's not well used. Most people actually spam in general chat 1 instead of trade chat 3.
Right.
So
I'd expect that. Actually, I did have 2 questions. One, what's the ignore list max?
500.
Wow.
This is great. Which is why I generally have
That's awesome.
turned off.
500.
Wow. Also, I was actually curious, because you run out of cargo hold space, right? So you make another alt, and you keep making cargo hold space. Is there actually a limit to your mailbox? Because if you're making sales transactions and they get, the sale doesn't go through, it can sit in your mailbox.
It can. It will. I don't know what would happen if you have a GTN listing end. I know most mail after 30 days, I want to say.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
So you need to clean it out.
If your mailbox is full and you get something from the GTN, I thought it overflowed. So if you delete a message, new ones will then start appearing. Though it wouldn't stay in a overflow forever if that's the way it works.
Right.
It definitely doesn't stay forever. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. And because you don't necessarily see all the messages when you get that high, I've done it a few times. When you see those new messages, they will be less than 30 days, and you can conceivably lose things altogether and never miss them. Never actually get to see the message if you don't clean them out.
Well, I was just more curious because of the total, like if there was a total number you could even have in your inbox. Because if, you have to wait 4 or 5 days and you want to clear stuff out and put new things up onto the GTN. And I mean, I'm a subscriber, so I have the unlimited GTN posting. It is unlimited, right?
50.
Oh, it's 50. Okay, so that's another good number to
unlock
know.
more, though. You can unlock more.
You can buy unlocks at 10 at a time, but your standard limit as a subscriber is 50 items at a time.
And is there a cap for the unlocks?
I don't know that. I've never used the unlocks. I max out my 50 almost at all times.
Okay.
So why haven't you used the unlocks, Bill? I mean, you can afford it.
Right, obviously.
But it's going to cut into profit. So just be patient.
That's a capital expense.
Yeah, exactly. It's a capital expense to return, improve your ROI, return on investment.
But I could always just mail it to an alt, and that's another good tip.
Which is why I was asking about the inbox, because you can always mail it to an alt.
That's right. So
and just stockpile a whole bunch of stuff in your inbox.
The other thing that I recommend is your main, Ludoto in my case, I try not to sell too much on my main. And the reason is it's really a pain because, especially on the Harbinger, I like the Harbinger. The crafting community is actually, it seems to me, more active than other servers. I've talked
but
to...
you don't want people whispering you 100% of the time.
Yes, and especially when we're raiding, it's hard that I'm getting whispers, hey, can I buy 35 MK9 kits from randoms who see a listing? But if your name's on items constantly, people look that up, and this is that two-way street again. Use that to your advantage if you're buying and you want a cheaper price. I will find people on the GTN buying what I want, and then send them an email in game and see if they'll give you a bulk discount, and say, oh, hey, I'll buy 50 of those armorings for you if you discount them X amount. Then I will turn around and sell them.
And you're like, yeah, I'll discount it 5% because I'm taking a 6% cut on the GTN anyway.
Yep.
Right.
So,
production note, can you wrap up, Bill? This is already hard to edit. Yep.
Absolutely. So stay off those alts, or stay off your mains. Sell on your alts as much as possible. That's why I don't worry about maxing out more than 50 slots, because most of my listings are actually done on my alts, not on my main anyway. So if I run out of space, I can always just move them around. And I think we'll leave it there then for this week, and we'll talk about companion gifts next time.
And we'll bring Bill back probably in a couple of shows.
I really like that. Companion gifts. What a great teaser. I look forward to it.
Yeah, that was great, Bill. Thank you very much. All right, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show, including tips of the week, to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're on @OotiniCast. I Twitter under my own name, @BrandonL. and Teo uses his name, @JasonEtheridge. Bill Twitters under @BillLentz, Lentz. Red Twitters under @R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We're also on Stitcher and Radio for Gamers. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thanks to the chat room, and thank you, Red, and thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you next week.
Alright, gentlemen, stop your recording now. Thank you, chat room, for sticking with us. A longish show. Longer than we've done for a while, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll catch you next week.